Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, but I do have to put a disclaimer and a warning. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about all of the kings that represent your divine masculine. However, the disclaimer is this. I'm going to be talking about them, giving the traits and characteristics of these kings in the upright position, but then I'm also going to talk about them in the reverse position. So when they come up in the reverse, obviously the meanings can be a bit brutal. All right, they can be, they can be a little hard to take in. All right, and so I want to put it out there that some of the things I'm going to talk about will be it's going to be strong content. So if you are not ready to hear it, you should probably go ahead and click out now, because I'm telling you, some of the cards in reverse have some very dangerous meanings. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. So again, if you're not ready to hear that kind of stuff, then go ahead and click out now. I just think it's very important to understand, what some of these cards do mean in the reverse. And when you're talking about relationships specifically, I think it's important to know them. It's important to know that information, because if you're involved with somebody and you see some of these red flags, then you need to run. All right. And so it's very important that you know that. But again, be discerning. It's up to you. All right. So there is quite a bit of information here. So I do have notes because, I'm going to try to go in depth. All right. Now, one of the things I do want you to consider is that each of the kings do represent, a sign of the zodiac. So here's the thing. If you know what your counterpart's birthday is, and you know that they're, a Libra, Capricorn, whatever sign they are, their sun sign represents basically characteristics of them in general. Okay, so a lot of times when those characteristics don't really match up to their emotions, then the best thing to do is to, do a birth chart and find out what their moon sign is. Because the moon sign basically will tell you more about your emotions, okay? And of course, that's where love comes in and all of that. So again, some of them may, sound familiar to the sun sign, but if it doesn't, then definitely check out the moon sign, because you may find that, what their moon sign is probably resonates better. Okay, so if you're not aware of all the kings, although I'm sure most of you are, we're going to go ahead and start off with the King of Wands. Then we're going to move on to the King of Swords. Then we'll move on to the King of Pentacles. And then, finally, save the best for last, the King of Cups. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the King of Wands. The King of Wands is a fire sign, and he represents Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Okay, so the King of Wands, he's somebody who's strong, confident, he's proud, he's passionate, he's a free spirit, he can be funny, he can be dependable, and he can be protective. Okay, so in relationships, he will protect you, and he's also very passionate. Obviously, being a fire sign, this is probably somebody who, the passion is intense. Sex is probably great. He's probably somebody who's very handsome and attractive. Aesthetically pleasing to the eye. He's probably going to be somebody that, eye candy, all of that. All right, so obviously, when you find somebody attractive, you tend to have passion, because they're good looking, they're handsome, and all that kind of stuff. The fire burns hot. So those are some of the those are some of the things that you're gonna receive with the King of Wands. And even if he's not that aesthetically pleasing to the eye, or even if he's not eye candy, most of them are. still, this is somebody who you have a strong chemistry with. And so passion is going to run high. Fire is going to run high. Okay. So again, and because again, he is a fire sign, he's somebody who, is going to protect you, because, they are strong, they're confident, they're proud, so, in relationships, he is somebody who, will protect you and, really give you that fire and passion that you want. All right. But, some of the things to note about the King of Wands is that he's also attracted to women who, obviously do have some of the same characteristics as him, which I think all the kings do, but, he's also very attracted to women who are strong and independent. All right. And, one of the things that, will turn him off is if you're clingy and needy. All right. He loves women who, who are strong like him and independent, but again, he doesn't like clinginess or neediness. Okay. And if you have those kind of characteristics about yourself, then chances are, he's going to run for the hills. Okay. He's going to run. All right. So let's see what else it says. Loves women who don't try to restrict him. So he's a free spirit. And again, because he is strong, he's confident, he's proud, he's someone who doesn't want to be restricted, which is why he does not, particularly like being with somebody who's clingy and needy. All right. And he, obviously wants you to embrace his free spirit. Okay. If he is emotionally overwhelmed. So here's one of the things, if somebody, the King of Wands, if he's emotionally overwhelmed, what may happen in the relationship is that he may, out of the blue, just suddenly, it's like, you may not even hear from him. He's going to cut off emotionally, okay? Just suddenly, without any warning, and that's something that's not very, very good, if you're in a relationship. That's why it's kind of important for you to know that if you're going to be with, the King of Wands, even if you are a bit clingy and needy, I would just suggest that you kind of don't show that and try to, try to work on it, just try to build yourself up and try not to be clingy and needy, because again, what's going to end up happening is emotionally you're going to want a lot out of him, and if he's emotionally overwhelmed, again, he will cut you off. Again, he will run for the hills. Okay, so show that you're somebody who's fun, free-spirited, and independent, and have a lot of passion, as well as him, and you two will get along just fine. All right, so now, when he's in reversed, all right, again, this is where the disclaimers come in. When the King of Wands is in reversed, if he shows up in a reading in reversed, all right, this could be talking about, and keep in mind that these are some of the traits, but, not, how can I say this? This may indicate some of the traits, but it's not, it doesn't have to be all of them. It could be one or two. But, again, your person, and so you'll know if this is true or not. All right. But, when he's in reverse, he can be rude. He can be boring. But he can be a bully, and he can be a womanizer and have a volatile temper. He can be unreliable. He can break promises and sometimes be abusive, whether that is emotionally or physically. If anybody is ever abusive physically, you need to move away from them, seek help if you need to, take the proper precautions if somebody is ever abusive. Okay, but they can be a bully, and they can have a volatile temper, and there's somebody who's not reliable. So He's someone, so also if he's if he shows up in reverse, it could just mean that he's somebody who, you know, has commitment phobia. Okay, somebody who's afraid to commit. So, you know, that's definitely something that you'll want to look out for, because, you know, even if these other things don't match up, even if he's, you know, if he's somebody who doesn't, you know, somebody who isn't rude, or somebody, you know, who's breaking promises, or has a, you know, a volatile temper, then, you know, some of the other things you want to look for is, you know, how is he in terms of commitment? Because if he's somebody that, you know, that doesn't want to commit, then, you know, that's something that you obviously need to take into consideration. All right. So, afraid to commit can also be abusive in his relationships and break promises, and also can be a womanizer. Okay. So, you know, I think for most of the kings, if they are in reverse, womanizing is something that, you know, you'll have to consider, you know, depending on, you know, what you know about your masculine, number one, and number two, what the surrounding cards say. You know, this is one of the reasons why I'm the type of reader who draws a few cards and I tell a story with my readings. While you may see people who draw, you know, a card, they may, you know, shuffle the cards, one falls out, and they'll basically give you their meaning, and then go to the next card, shuffle, and then pull another card and tell you the meaning, rather than pulling a few cards to collect the story. Okay, and no way is wrong. I'm definitely not saying that, you know, every person reads differently, but, you know, sometimes when you do read in a story like reading, you can determine what the cards around it are saying. And when you're able to determine what the cards surrounding it are saying, you can get a better idea of, you know, hey, is this person, you know, abusive? Is this person, you know, hot tempered? Or, you know, maybe the surrounding cards are just saying that he's somebody who cannot commit. So definitely pay attention to the cards surrounding. If you don't really, you know, if some of the readers that you watch don't have surrounding cards, it's a little bit more difficult to tell which of these traits they're connecting to for your divine masculine. So always keep that in mind. And if you get a personal reading from anybody, I really do suggest that you get a reading from somebody who can pull a few cards rather than one at a time. Because listen, in a general reading, it doesn't really matter how you read, but in personal readings, you want to know what the surrounding cards are, because you want to know the story. Okay, and it's those surrounding cards that are going to tell you which of these characteristics actually go with, you know, your king. All right, and so it's important to know that. All right, so again, for general collective readings, it's fine, but in personal readings, you know, just kind of use your discernment with that. Okay, so that's the King of Wands. Other than, you know, him, you know, I don't feel like he's somebody who's really particularly picky. All right, other than the fact that he doesn't want somebody clingy. Okay, that's what's going to drive him away faster than anything, is being clingy and being needy. All right, other than that, you know, I feel like if you are somebody who's funny and independent, you know, as long as you are somebody, you know, who can hold those things, I think you and the King of Wands can get along pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the King of Swords now. So the King of Swords, he represents Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. All right. So he's a little different because, you know, he's somebody who, you know, is intelligent. You know, he's all about structure. He's an authority. He can be an authority figure, but he's somebody who, you know, has good manners, and he, you know, is a conversationalist. Okay. He's somebody who's honest, you know, also, you know, the king, the queen, and even the Ace of Swords is, you know, it's about clarity and truth, right? So you're definitely going to get honesty with the King of Swords, okay? His integrity and his morals and his self-discipline, you know, are very strong. They mean a lot to him, all right? One of the things that I say quite a bit, and I actually had somebody kind of they kind of came back on me because I always say this. Usually, you know, with the Queen of Swords or the King of Swords, I'll say they're not the most loving of the kings or queens. And I had somebody tell me, you know, I shouldn't generalize them because, you know, they were, you know, they were either a Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, and they felt like, well, you shouldn't generalize that because, you know, we do love. Well, hey, I'm a Libra, you know, I'm a Libra sun, so yes, I'm aware that they are capable of love. But here's the difference, is that the King and Queen of Swords are head over heart people, okay? So when I say that they're not the most loving, it's not that they're not capable of love. They're capable, totally capable of love. But the thing about them is that they are head over heart, as opposed to the other ones who can be heart over head, okay? Especially like the King of Cups, you know, he leads with his heart. The King of Swords and the Queen of Swords lead with their head because they're intellectuals, okay? They're intellectuals, and, you know, they like structure, right? So whatever position that they're put into, they want to think it through. Before they give their heart away, they want to think it through and make sure that, you know, it matches what it is that they want out of a relationship. So their heart does come in, but they're going to think about it first, okay, before they make any decisions. So that's you know, if you're just meeting, you know, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, you know, that's definitely something that you want to, you know, if you're just meeting them, you definitely need to know that they may take their time before they give their heart away, okay? So, but they do eventually give their heart away, but they're going to think it through first, okay? So, sometimes, you know, sometimes in the readings you can, some of the kings can also be like a trump card, okay? They can have an extra meaning. And so sometimes if you're doing a reading and the surrounding cards aren't really, you know, telling or talking about them characteristically, then as a trump card, if he shows up in a reading and the surrounding cards again are not really speaking on his characteristic, it could mean as a trump meaning that he represents fatherhood, okay? So that could mean that either, you know, he's a single father, or that he's someone that you may be able to have a child with. Or it could mean that you could also be pregnant. It represents fatherhood as a trump meaning, okay? So again, if all the surrounding cards are not talking about him characteristically, it could mean fatherhood, you know? You guys may be having a baby, or he is a single father, okay? Or he has a child of his own already, okay? Like if you didn't know that he had a child, he may show up in a reading that indicates that he does have kids, all right? And you may not have known that. So again, that would be a trump card. That would be a trump meaning, okay? So in relationships, he's attracted to women who are also intellectual and have good manners and who can carry good conversations, okay? Also in relationships, one of the things that he likes to do is, you know, he kind of likes to challenge you. He likes to challenge you to bring the best out in you. So he's somebody who, you know, if you're somebody who's not a big conversationalist, you don't like to talk a lot, you know, he may try to bring that out of you, okay? Or if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of good manners, you know, maybe you don't say thank you a lot, or please, or yes sir, no sir. You know, he may try to encourage you to just be nicer and to have better manners, you know. So he's someone who's going to challenge you to kind of bring out characteristics, you know, that you may not be normally prone to. All right. So and even if it's not, you know, something like that, then maybe he'll just challenge you to, like, let's say there's something that you really want to do, and you just, you know, you hadn't found the enthusiasm to do it yet. He may push you or drive you to do it. You know, he's going to challenge you to bring that best out of you. All right. So it can be a couple of different things, but he's going to challenge you. All right. And, you know, whatever way your situation is. Okay. So let's see what else. So he likes to challenge you. Okay, so he's not going to settle for a woman who cannot hold his interest. Okay, or, you know, some of them, you know, they do like to maintain certain standards. And if you're somebody who cannot, you know, hold his interest or hold those standards, you know, he's not somebody who's gonna, you know, kind of run away suddenly, kind of like the King of Wands. I mean, he may be somebody who thinks it through a little bit and then determines whether or not he wants to continue. But because he is an intellectual and because he is a conversationalist, I think that he will talk to you. Okay, he's not going to just run like the King of Wands will. He's going to sit down and he's going to have a conversation with you and just say, hey, you know, this isn't working for me because, you know, maybe he's tried to get you to open up and you're not, or, you know, manners mean a lot to him. And if you're somebody who, you know, just cusses all the time, you know, some people, they can't help it, you know, that's just how they talk, you know, but manners do mean a lot, you know, to the King of Swords. So if you're somebody who, you know, isn't cool on the manners, you know, again, he may have to think that through and be like, is this really the best for me? Do I really want to be with somebody, you know, who isn't gonna, you know, control how they talk, or, you know, he just wants somebody who has good manners and is gonna have good morals, okay, and you know, yeah, he kind of likes high standards, you know. So, but, you know, still, I think that, you know, because I still think that he's somebody who can, you know, get along with you well enough. If you are able to let him bring out that best in you, then I definitely think that you're fine, you know. Again, and not all of these are definite, okay. Maybe some of them don't really care about the high standards, some of them do, but maybe they, you know, want you to be somebody who they can at least carry a conversation with, okay? These are all subject to change, all right? But still, you know, in general, this is how they are, okay? And again, the surrounding cards will kind of, you know, give you a little bit more information, all right? So now let's go ahead and talk about him in the reverse. So when he's in reverse, he can be irrational. All right. He can be irrational, illogical, power crazed. He can be aggressive and cynical. He can be dishonest. And where in the upright, you know, his morals and integrity are everything, when he's in reverse, you know, his morals and integrity go down the drain. He's then judgmental, and he can be an absent father. All right, so you know, those are some of the traits when he's in reverse. So be cautious if he shows up in reverse, okay? Because he can be aggressive, he can be violent, he can be brutal, and he can be dangerous, okay? So if this is somebody that you're just meeting, and you notice these things, you need to run, okay? You don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation, okay? But it could just mean that, you know, he's lost his cool, and fighting over silly things, okay? You know, also, if he shows up as a trump card, it can mean that if he shows up in a trump card reverse, and the surrounding cards aren't talking about characteristics, as a trump card, as a trump meaning, it could mean that he's infertile or that he's an absent father, okay? So, you know, those are two things to look out for. If it's not talking about his characteristics, it could just mean that he's somebody who can't give you a child because he's infertile, all right? Or if he does have a child, he's an absent father. And, you know, now some people, it's not their fault if they're an absent father, you know, because sometimes, you know, the women, you know, I've known some, you know, who take the child away and don't want the father to be present in their life. So, you know, be discerning with the situation. Is he an absent father because he wants to be, or is he an absent father because he was put in that position? So be discerning with that. All right, so let's see what else. So, you know, he can also not be very good with children if he's in reverse, okay? One of the other things that you definitely want to watch out for if he shows up in reverse, because in the upright position, he's somebody who's very intelligent, right? Very intellectual, intelligent. He has smarts. And so what happens sometimes if he shows up in reverse is that, you know, he uses that intellectual intelligence in a bad way, and he could play mind games with you, all right? Because, you know, they're smart. They know how to use, you know, they know how to use their intellectual for bad if they show up in reverse. So it could just, you know, if they show up, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that they are, you know, that they are violent, you know, but again, you have to, you know, your person. If you know, see that aggressive, violent behavior, then you need to run. But if you know that they're not like that, then just be careful. They could, you know, be somebody who likes to play mind games with you, okay, and using their intellect in a bad way. So steer clear from that, okay? Could also mean someone who wants to stay a bachelor, or again, you know, is a single father. So if they're, you know, if there's somebody who wants to, you know, if they show up in reverse, and, you know, it could mean that, you know, they just kind of want to stay a bachelor. They don't, you know, they don't really want to, you know, they don't really want to commit too much either. Maybe, but, you know, maybe, especially if it is somebody who is a single father. Sometimes it's hard for men to enter a relationship if they are a single father. It takes them a little bit more, okay? And so, again, that's where the head before heart comes in, because, you know, so they may want to stay a bachelor because they are a single father, okay? So if he shows up in reverse, it could just mean that he's going to take his time being a bachelor because he's a single father. All right. So again, all these are subject to, you know, change, you know, but you know you're masculine. So if some of these things, you know, kind of jump at you, you know, if they are really, you know, kind of abusive and, you know, aggressive and violent, you need to, you know what you need to do. All right, you need to run, because you don't want to put yourself in that kind of situation. All right. So, all right, let's go and talk about the King of Pentacles. All right, so the King of Pentacles, he represents Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. All right. So the King of Pentacles is usually a mature, grounded man. Okay. He's successful. He's somebody who doesn't like to take risks. He's stable. And he's a secure provider. And he's somebody who's loyal and somebody who is patient. All right. He's attracted to women who are grounding and nurturing. And he's, and if you are somebody who's grounded and nurturing, and have some of, the characteristics as him, chances are he's going to make you his wife, okay? But he also wants to know that he can make you his wife and that you can be a good mother, all right? These are things that are attractive to him. But, it really is the nurturing part that's important, because, again, he is somebody who does want to commit, okay? He is somebody who does want to commit, and he wants to know that you can be nurturing, especially, with your children, all right? So he wants to know that you're somebody who can be a good mother. And if you can do those things, then he will definitely wife you down, okay? So, let's see. He's loyal. He's faithful. So here's the thing. He is somebody who cares deeply about his partner, but he struggles with expressing his emotions, okay? And so the way he does it is he expresses himself by being generous, okay? By providing and making you feel secure. He compensates in these areas of being generous and making you feel secure, because he knows he's not good with expressing his emotions, okay? I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, I mean, if you have somebody who's loyal to you, honest with you, and and wants to commit to you and take care of you, I mean, if they're not good at expressing their emotions, I mean, nobody's perfect. So to me, that's just not a deal breaker. But we're all entitled to our own opinions. All right. So, he's probably somebody who likes to buy you a lot of things, all right, rather than opening up his emotions. He probably doesn't like to, sit down and have conversations, He'd probably be like, oh, let's just, how about I, buy you something, something along those lines, okay? But he is a great father, okay? He's somebody who's not careless with money. So sometimes they can be a bit, how do you say that? What's the word? Frivolous? They're not frivolous with their money. Okay, so they don't like to be careless with money. All right, and they don't like to gamble, because again, they're not risk takers. All right. What does it say? I can't even read my own handwriting. He's conservative. Okay, so he can be conservative, all right? He can be a bit conservative, and he can be a bit stubborn, all right? So that's how he'd be in a relationship, all right? So let's see, in reverse, all right? When he's in reverse, he's not as grounded, okay? Can also mean that he's unsuccessful and broke, okay? If he's somebody who, at one point did have money, if he shows up in reverse, it can definitely mean that he's taken a loss, okay? Maybe he lost his job, maybe he lost in stocks, whatever. So, but even if he just shows up in reverse, he's probably somebody who doesn't have any money, okay? And they can also be somebody who is corrupted in business, okay? Instability, poor judgment, greedy, materialistic, unfaithful, unsupportive, uncaring, discouraging, and ruthless. And, you know, some of them, sometimes if they show up in reverse, it can also mean that they like to gamble, okay? So, you know, some things to be cautious of. In relationships, he's somebody who can have jealousy and possessiveness in the relationships, okay? He can be manipulating, controlling, manipulating and controlling. He can be impatient, irresponsible, unreliable, unsupportive, and obviously money problems. He can be he can be a cheater. Like I said, all of them, if they show up in reverse, you know, it could possibly indicate cheating. All right. Now, okay, so here's where it kind of gets, you know, a little dark. Sometimes it can mean that not only is he cheating, but he may be engaging with prostitutes and mistresses, okay? Sometimes if they do still have money, okay, if they do still have money, they could be showing up in reverse because they're engaging in prostitutes or have a mistress, and so they're spending their money on that. All right, okay, so he may neglect his partner and children, okay, may use money to control. So again, that's where you see that jealousy and possessiveness and manipulating coming in. You know, sometimes, again, if he shows up in reverse and he does have money, he's probably manipulating, you know, his partner and the children. He's controlling them and being jealous and possessive by manipulating them with the money, okay? Basically being greedy with the money, because that can also indicate greediness, as we already said. You know, so that's how he gains possession of his partner. So again, just in reverse, and all of this is subject to. So, you know, may not be all of it, but you know, if you see some of these characteristics, again, you use your discernment. All right, so let's see. He can also, if he shows up in reverse, it could also mean that he does have a gambling problem. I don't know if I already said that. He could have a gambling problem. And I mean, see, the thing is, you know, if they are somebody who has money, if there's somebody who has money, they sometimes get on this high horse and they feel like, well, you know, money can buy anything, right? So that is the reason why they engage in stuff like prostitutes or having mistresses or gambling, you know, because they feel themselves above, you know. And so, you know, again, that's if they show up in reverse. Those, you know, those are some things that, you know, those are just some things to look out for. All right. So now let's go ahead and talk about the King of Cups. Again, saving the best for last. Not in the reverse. All the reverses are pretty bad. But, you know, but in the upright position, you know, the King of Cups is definitely, he is the best. All right. So he represents Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. All right. So if the King of Cups shows up in a reading, he's definitely somebody who is a compassionate male, okay? He's calm, he's caring. He can even be spiritual, okay? Maybe somebody who likes to go to church, or somebody who is all about the twin flame journey, and, you know, he's aware of that. You know, just somebody who's spiritual, you know, and definitely believes in a higher calling and things of that nature, okay? He's somebody who's affectionate, and he is definitely romantic, okay? He's family oriented. He's a good husband. He is a good father. And he definitely wants commitment in marriage. Okay, so he's somebody who, will commit. So the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups are definitely somebody who like to commit. The King of Wands and the King of Swords, it takes them a little bit more, okay, because obviously the King of Swords likes, he likes to think everything through. The King of Wands, he's somebody who's scared to commit. So he wants to make sure that he is absolutely in love, and he wants to make sure that you're somebody who's independent and, you're not needy and things like that. So commitment for the King of Wands and the King of Swords, it takes him a little bit more time, all right, than for the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups. So he's definitely somebody who wants commitment and he wants marriage, okay? If he shows up in a reading, it is just a good omen all around, okay? Because he is, a good husband, he's a good father, he's very loving, he's caring, he's definitely emotional, fulfilling, romantic, affectionate, and basically, all in all, it does mean an abundant relationship, okay? Again, the best card to have in any relationship. So he's devoted, he's loyal, he's a caring partner, he's also emotionally mature, he's gracious with his time, his money, and even his advice, okay? He's not too picky. The King of Cups, if he falls in love with you, he falls in love with you, okay? He doesn't have all these, he doesn't have all these requirements, all right? Because he's just a very loving guy. He's somebody who's calm. He's just caring, so, but I mean, you kind of have to, you gotta love him back, but other than that, these characteristics are not too hard for women, we're emotional creatures, we love, so again, he's definitely the less picky of the kings, all right? So now let's go ahead and talk about him in reverse, all right? So when he's in reverse, he's emotionally immature, and he can be overly emotional. So, he has some pretty, bad traits too. Okay, let's go over those real quick. So he's emotionally immature, uncaring. He can also be a cheater. He's unkind, withdrawn, moody, manipulation. It could also, so yeah, he can be uncaring, and, he can be moody, and he can be manipulating, and it can also indicate cheating, all right? But if it's none of those things, all right, then he could just be a guy who's overly emotional, like somebody who cries easy, gets depressed easy, and also that he's gullible, so doesn't have a lot of self-esteem, okay? So if it's not, the unkind things or the uncaring things or the cheating things, and it just means that, he's somebody who gets depressed and cries, or he's gullible and lets people kind of walk all over him, all right? But if it's none of those things, then it can mean an affair with a married man. So it can mean, so if he shows up and it's not about these other characteristics, it could mean that he's married and he has not told you, or you do know, okay? Either you do or you don't know that he is already married, okay? So let's see. So he can be overly sensitive, like we said, emotional, and lacks a backbone. We already talked about, that would be the depressed, over emotional, gullible, lacks a backbone when but he can also be, if it's not any of those things, it could be that he's calculating, okay? A con artist. What does this say? Oh yeah, So calculating, con artist, a manipulative behavior, okay? For relationships, obviously it means an unstable relationship, not treating you with love, kindness, and respect that you deserve, not considerate of your feelings. So if these things are happening, obviously, you need to take time out for yourself, okay? Because time out for yourself is needed. All right. If things are not going good in this relationship, some time apart could possibly help you. All right. So, take that in consideration. So now let's kind of talk about some of the other stuff. All right. And again, these are a little bit dark. All right. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and he is, being romantic with you and he is giving you, the attention, and so you feel like there's really nothing wrong because he's giving you everything that you need, and he happens to show up in the reverse, then he could be hiding something from you, okay? And that, unfortunately, if he does show up in reverse, it could mean that he does have some perverted behaviors that you do not know, all right? Some maybe fetishes, and I don't really want to go into the dark parts of that, In general, he has some perverted natures about him, okay? So again, if he is showing you all these things, all these good things, but he still shows up in reverse, then he has some dark perverted secrets that you do not know about, all right? So, if he happens to show up, you need to get more information on that because you need to know what they are, okay? So, perverted behaviors, and here's the other one. It could also indicate rape, okay? So, if it's not perverted behaviors, it could indicate some type of rape was involved, okay? If the reading is, about you, obviously, and it shows up, then it could just be talking about, unfortunately, an incident that you had, okay? That's even hard for me to say, but, if it's not about, another person and it is a reading about you, and the King of Cups shows up in reverse, then it could just be addressing, something that happened to you, okay? So, and if it's not about you, then, and it's about him, then obviously run for the hills, okay? Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation with someone like that, okay? So, extreme negative abuse. All right. It can also mean extreme negative abuse. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, if this is somebody who's giving you all the love and happiness and romance that you can possibly, want, and you just have that feeling like something is not right, and you get a reading and he shows up in reverse, then you're talking about some extreme dark things that you do not know about, okay? So you need to get more information on it, and if you get that information and validation, then you need to run, okay? Or if this is something that absolutely has happened to you and that this person put you through, then you need to seek help immediately. Seek professional help immediately and get out of the relationship fast, okay? Because, listen, if they've done it once, they're not going to stop. You cannot change a person who already has these kind of behavior. You can't. And you don't want to put yourself in a negative situation. It's not worth it, okay? It's not. There are plenty of good men out there, and you do not need to put yourself through that, okay? So I encourage you with all these kings, all right? If they show up in reverse, you need to know what the surrounding cards mean, all right? You need to know, and especially if you're getting a personal reading, okay? And listen, if any of this information struck you, if you got that hitting, just hitting the chest, then, and you want to get a personal reading, then, my information is in the description box, and, we can definitely look into the situation for you, okay? So, all in all, here's the deal. The best person to be with in a relationship, obviously, is going to be the King of Cups. Unless you're somebody who really, knows that you want to be taken care of, then you're going to want to go with the King of Pentacles, all right? If you're somebody who's very intellectual and you think head before heart, then you're going to want to go with the King of Swords. And if you're somebody who wants to be with somebody who has good sex, then, there you go with the King of Wands, all right? As long as you two are, capable of, what is the word? Oh goodness, consenting adults, as long as you are consulting adults, and and what you want from the King of Wands, then King of Wands is the one you'd want to be looking for. Okay, again, they all represent each sign of the zodiac. You want to look at their sun sign, and you want to look at their moon sign. It's very important to know them both, but emotionally, the moon sign is going to tell you, you want to know, all right? You want to know how your person is, emotionally. My husband, his sun sign is the King of Swords. His moon sign is, the King of Wands. And I can tell you that, when I first met him, again, with the King of Swords, he really had, he was always thinking, but we had really good, the day we met, we spent hours just talking, but then I'm a Libra sun too, so, we're both Libra suns. So we had really good conversation, and we were able to maintain that intellectual conversation. Now, his moon sign is King of Wands, and what did we talk about? The King of Wands is somebody who doesn't commit very quickly. Well, neither does the King of Swords, and yeah, I can tell you that my husband definitely, he didn't commit that fast. We started dating in 2013, and we got married in 2015. So it took 2 years, he didn't commit that fast, and of course, there was a lot of passion, there was a lot of passion. And he was absolutely, I always said, gosh, you were the best looking guy I've ever been with, So, yeah, I was obviously very, very attracted to him, and he definitely charmed me. The King of Swords is somebody who can charm you because they know how to talk, and sometimes they can play mind games. And look, hey, let me tell you, the reverse resonate too, because my husband, he definitely, I could tell when he was playing mind games with me, being a Libra myself, I could tell, I could tell when he was lying, okay? Because in the upright, the King of Swords is somebody who's honest, right? If he's in reverse, he's gonna lie. They use their charm and their smarts to try to lie, which he couldn't really do to me because we're both Libras. So it's like I caught on really quick, and so I call him out on it, So that was kind of one of the good things about it. And yeah, when he got mad, he was hot-tempered and all that kind of stuff, So yeah, both of them definitely resonated, with my husband, my divine masculine. So, again, look at both signs so that you can see the good you know, the good parts and the bad parts, and and I did talk about, the relationship. So some of those things that, that some of them didn't particularly like, you can work on those things, so that you guys can be more compatible, But other than that, I think that pretty much covers all of it, So, do me a favor, if you like this video and you liked all the information, go ahead and leave me a comment, leave me a like and a comment, and even share this. This is something that all women should know, all right? And leave in the comments which of these kings is yours. So, again, if you're interested in a personal reading, the information is in the description box, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.